that masquerades as a conservative, and Kay Bailey Hutchison is even worse, if that's possible, from Washington. And they have brought in, conservatively, a $400 million looting deal to grab 8,000 miles of existing roads and put toll roads on them. They're both involved up to their eyeballs in it, though they now try to deny that. It's on record they are. Texas has passed all these new districts for taxing. Every few months, a new bureaucrat shows up and tells me about some new tax that my little office has to pay. We are turning into California or New York or Illinois or something. Texas does have people flooding to it because it's not as bad as other states, but not for long. I mean, you're trying to save Texas as a haven of low taxes and low regulation. And we know what K-Baby and, Mr. Hairspray, Pretty Hair, Twinkle Toes, Perry is going to do. And for him to try to spin it that you're bad-mouthing Texas, it's just more fraud from this guy. The sales taxes keep going up. The property taxes keep going up even as housing prices go down. Can you speak to what you would do as governor to the tax system?
Well, we've got to eliminate property tax in Texas.
Eliminate. We didn't have it before and built this country. Eliminate it. It's a tax on your property. It's rent. You don't really own your property, the founders said, if you have a property tax.
We've got to eliminate property tax. We've got to recognize that we do need some essential government services. There are some things that cities and counties and the state government need to do, and clearly they need funds for that. But the best way to raise that money, the taxing method that causes the least drag on a free and prosperous economy, is a sales tax. We need to broaden the base of our sales tax, probably raise the rate a tad, unless we decide to also tax property at the time of the sale, in which case we can actually lower the rate. But that's the thing that's going to generate the most economic activity, spread the weight of the government burden, I guess, over all citizens, not unfairly stacking on property owners. We've got to do that. But I think that the governor, he'd like to paint this really rosy picture. I guess as a registered nurse, my job wasn't to look at how healthy I would like for you to be, but to deal with the reality of what your clinical conditions and signs are. And the reality of the economic condition here in Texas isn't near as rosy as he'd like to paint it. I certainly am not about tearing Texas down. I'm about being a realist and looking at objectively where we are, figuring out what's hindering us, and getting us on the path to that freedom and prosperity that we ought to be enjoying. When
Perry was selling
jobs in the public sector and boasting about employment numbers going up, that is a bold-faced lie. You are creating more of a burden on the private sector. We've added 156,000 jobs in the public sector in the last 4 years. He's boasting about adding 142,000 to the Texas economy in the last 4 years. But all of those have been in the public sector. We've lost 14,000 jobs in the private sector. That's not job growth.
Absolutely. So for those that don't understand, Texas is becoming like Massachusetts or New York, and Perry's saying in his doublespeak, that's a great thing. Deborah Medina's saying, no, go back the way Texas was. Make Texas great again. They're trying to raise the Texas gas tax. They're trying to do everything right now. We have got to block this. I mean, the economy is imploding in this state, not as bad as other states because we haven't had the blight of big government as much as other states. That's why people are running to Texas right now, running away from big government. Deborah, I want to play a clip of you.
Alex, let me jump in. Not as bad as other states because they overtaxed us a few years ago. Remember, he built up that rainy day fund to $20 billion because he was overtaxing Texans. Anybody that's got sitting on that kind of profit can weather a storm. That's why Texas is weathering the storm, because the governor and the legislature allowed those taxes to be overcollected in prior years. I think you and I read the Texas Consolidated Annual Financial Report. I'm not sure either Kay or Rick have ever looked at that. You can't be an executive and not know what the financial condition of your organization is. Texans deserve an accurate, honest annual financial report from our CEO. That's the governor, and he's failed to do that time and time again.
And he got upset when you brought that up because no one, 10 years ago when I first started exposing this with Walter Burien and made a film about it, no one knew about these. That's the real set of books, not the budget. The budget is the fake thing they push. And boy, you broke a big taboo. He got upset when you mentioned that little secret name. folks, this is Alex Jones, and I want to tell you about the Silver Lungs generator. Now you can produce pure and endless colloidal silver and deliver the solution directly into the bloodstream by breathing the solution through the lungs. The respiratory system is the first line of defense for airborne pathogens and viruses. The Silver Lungs generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced nano-silver solutions and also delivers the silver nanoparticles instantly into the bloodstream. With continued legislation threatening the sale of nano-silver products, you can now produce pure and endless colloidal silver with the Silver Lungs generator. Very easy to follow step-by-step instructions are provided, making production fast and simple. Go to www.silverlungs.com today and learn more about the breakthrough technology of the Silver Lungs generator. That's www.silverlungs.com. Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
They have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at prisonplanet.tv.
Coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
Well, you're an intelligent lady. You're a constitutionalist. People are really resonating with your message. And I just want to say again, regardless if you win or not, we all win because you've now injected real issues, and we're now growing the grassroots across the country, just like with what happened with Ron Paul. It is essential, though, that people support you, that they put your yard signs up, that they call local radio, that they call BELO and say, put you in the next debate, that they donate on your website or sign up at your Facebook or get your email and text message alerts. It is essential. And it's just the political will of getting involved will lead us to victory. We know the path of standing up for freedom will win if people just keep going, keep coming, and never back off and never stop. In the last 3-4 minutes we've got left, Deborah Medina, other issues, other points you'd like to make to this worldwide audience?
Well, I think I've got to pick up with where you're going. You're absolutely right, Alex. This is pedal to the metal. The only poll that counts is March the 2nd. That is Texas Independence Day. The dominoes are falling our way. If you ever thought that there was a time when your vote counted, it is now. You've got to get out. You've got to do all you can to raise the identity of this campaign, to help people know that there is someone carrying the voice of the people. I am just that vessel carrying that message. I'm honored to do it for Texas. I'm going to fight really hard, but we have got to have your help. We can win this race. Don't let up. Don't back off. This is a sprint to the finish. We're going to push really hard through till 7:01 p.m. on March 2nd and not let up a second before then. MedinaForTexas.com. Help us that way. Get out, knock on doors, let your neighbors know, ask them to vote, and then make sure that they go vote. So many people say, oh, yeah, I'm all about that, and then they get busy and they don't vote. Early voting starts in February. Very important that we turn out and vote at the polls. Don't be discouraged by any negative media reports that you might see. I think we kind of took everybody by surprise last night. I expect in the next 48 to 72 hours they'll get their act together and they'll start putting the negative spin on this and trying to marginalize the campaign and again say we're not going to have an impact on this race. Boy, we're going to have an impact, and we saw that last night. There was a period, and I know we've got a lot of problems with Google, but there was a period last night that we were the number one search on Google, and for several hours we were the number 3 search on Google. It went through not just Texas, but the country like a firestorm. We can win this, but it means all of us have got to dig in till March 2nd and work hard.
The people know we're being looted and being robbed. 30-plus states are moving to declare sovereignty. The media spins that and says it's secession. No, the states created the federal government. They're saying, no, the federal government's controlled by offshore banks. That's now public. Geithner's on the verge of being indicted. We now have this individual at the White House. Harvard professor Cass Sunstein is now the head of federal regulation, saying that he wants to ban free speech and the Second Amendment. I mean, he's actually saying it on video, on television, and that he's the next guy set to be the next Supreme Court justice. I mean, this country's in deep trouble. These people aren't playing games.
Right. You know, it's what caused the battle at the Alamo. They're